anybody know what round?
Hello and welcome to Alliant Motorsport Americas, and we are under the lights today in the magnificent city of Singapore, getting ready for round 4 of the Division 1 Championship. This one is going to be an absolute thriller. My name is, of course, Savage from Team Crossroads, and joining me around this perilous 23-corner track with the walls ever so close are Fuzzy Peach and Biggles in the FIA Race Control Suite. Gentlemen, welcome, and are you excited to get started with qualifying for this Grand Prix?
I absolutely am. This isn't a track I've been to very often, but despite that, knowing these drivers, I absolutely expect a stunner of a race.
Yep, guys, I'm super thrilled to be back again with you, gentlemen, as we entered the darkness of this part of the world once more. So we just, believe it or not, are 1% north of the equator with some 16,000 light bulbs illuminating the circuit. And I should know, as they often send me up the ladder to replace some of those bulbs when they blow. But one man at the moment has stepped out of the shadows and into the spotlight, and hopefully will not blow his chance of leading this LOR Division 1 Championship. And that man is the Fast and Furious Chen Jie. So can the 108 kilometers of cable that delivers this circle of light in the beautiful streets of Singapore help Chen Jie to a potential third visit to the top step of that podium? So back to you guys.
Indeed, and Chen Jie, of course, coming out of the gate running for this championship, winning the first 2 races, but last week in round 3 in Belgium, well, we saw Chen Jie as much more human than we had ever seen him before. He did not take the win. He did not take second. Finishing in 3rd position was the Haas driver, and chasing close behind him were Dougie Falcons and Issei in the championship. Chen Jie at the moment with the championship leading 69 points, nice, and Dougie Falcons with 55 in 2nd, and FSD Issei, of course, with 33 points in 3rd position. Issei has yet to stand on the top step of the podium, and he is very, very eager to do just that. I did get a chance to speak with Chen Jie and Dougie Falcons before the race today, and both of them said they were actually uncertain whether their pace around this track was truly competitive. It sounded like Chen Jie especially is going to be in damage limitation mode for this Grand Prix, trying to get as many points as he can, but not considering himself the favorite. And that is Chen Jie now coming across the start-finish line and setting a provisional pole time. So much for that humility, but of course Dougie Falcons coming in immediately behind him with a 1:34.8, beating Chen Jie by a whole 3/10. We also see several cars at the moment out on track on a medium compound tire, one of them being Secret in the Haas, that is Chen Jie's teammate, helping the Haas team to a first in the constructors standings at the moment with 79 points, and we'll see if that alternate strategy makes an impact in today's race. Now, of course, gentlemen, you've seen your fair share of races around the Singapore circuit, so what are your thoughts about some of the most challenging aspects of this Grand Prix and of this track as a whole? Silence. I'm not sure if I've been disconnected from the mics or not, or if
the children. It's the children again.
I can't hear anything. I have cars zooming up and down the pit lane. But anyway, so yeah, I believe. I think the challenge obviously is keeping the car out of the wall and keeping all those important carbon fiber bits attached to the car, because it's very, very easy to clip an end plate, and that's going to cost you a lot of time around this circuit, as well as where do you overtake? Not many places to overtake, and the last thing, so track position is absolute key, and also strategy. So they're going to be certainly on the radio calling Jeff for the potential under and over, shall we say, maneuvers that you can perform in pit stop strategy.
Absolutely. With this track being so much of with this track being a quintessential street circuit, there isn't really anywhere for the drivers to go if they get slightly shoved off by their competitors or if they miss their braking points too much. I definitely predict there's going to be quite a few broken wings here, and we're definitely going to be losing some carbon fiber. But somebody might go home with some fun souvenirs, though.
Spot on, guys. And of course, Singapore being a notoriously rear-heavy track as far as tire wear goes, rear limited on all of these acceleration zones from the slow corners, just like this one. Turn number 13 that connects Anderson Bridge and Esplanade Drive. This track is not kind to those rear tires, and, well, these drivers are going to have to find a way to manage their throttle, to find a way to make these tires last, or else they risk, having an unfortunate late-night date with a barrier.
Yeah, a late-night date with a barrier. It kind of sounds attractive, doesn't it? But for a driver, it doesn't sound like something you really want to do.
Indeed. Now, something that Alex Great probably doesn't feel is particularly attractive is the fact that he just invalidated his hot lap with a mere 2 corners to go to the start-finish line. So that is the Racing Point driver filing into the pits, still in 17th position, and that is unfortunately his medium run gone to waste. Not sure if he will be able to go out for another run on the yellow compound, likely switching to the softs. The Racing Point team, of course, in 5th position in the standings, and crucial for them to score some points against their nearest rivals, AlphaTauri and Ferrari.
I managed to get a word in with one of my secret helpers down in the pit lane, and it actually seems that Chen-Jie, after setting a best lap time on a soft, is now sitting in the pits with a set of medium tires on. So it might be that Chen-Jie, our current favorite, as he stands at the top of the board, might be thinking about coming out on those mediums for perhaps setting a good time on those mediums and then starting the race on those mediums. Maybe he has a alternate tire strategy he's trying to go for.
That is very insightful stuff, and thank you for that detail. We can see, oh my goodness, what in the world is going on here? We've got the McLaren of Ironhammer parked up alongside the wall on entry to turn 5. And it looked like Melvin there just letting some cars through, squeezing up against that same wall, creating a row of parked cars essentially there. A little dangerous, but everyone gets away unscathed. Indeed, we will take a look and see if Chen-Jie comes out on that compound. He has already set a banker lap on softs that is not slow by any stretch of the imagination, so you might be a little bit hard-pressed to beat it on those mediums. But if anyone can do it, well, I'd say that is one of our championship favorites, Chen-Jie. Indeed. At the moment, we still have quite a few drivers yet to set laps, everyone from 11th position downwards, and actually Arcraft and Ironhammer already both having ended this session prematurely. Ironhammer due to a disqualification, the reason to which we are not certain. But that leaves us with 16 drivers still in the running. Julian on board with whom we are at the moment being one of them, trying to take his McLaren to a top 10 start. And Julian really needs it at the moment, 9th in the standings with 8 points. He's got many other drivers in reach, but unfortunately, he invalidates that lap. You see that track map going red, and that's going to be a procession back into the pits for him.
Let's keep an eye on Dougie there, Mercedes driver. Oh, sorry there, Fuzz. Dougie, the Mercedes driver, running in P1 at the moment, setting a statement straight out of the gate. He is the second man in the championship right now, 55 points. So slipping a little bit to Chen-Jie, but he's the... with FTC Ezzy and the Red Bull Heads, unfortunately not in this race. So the man that can bring it to Chen-Jie in the championship, and they've both been on the podium 3 times. However, only 1 victory for Dougie, but 2 victories for Chen-Jie. So Dougie needs to set a statement today in Singapore and then basically go, you know what, the championship is still up for grabs, and do not forget about me, because I think really at the moment, Dougie's also looking like he's going to go faster as well. So this Mercedes driver could be setting a statement this evening.
Absolutely. He is the only one that has so far managed to beat Chen-Jie on the track, and he's going to look to do so again today, looking very, very competitive with that 134.8. And he appears to be on his hot lap, on his second hot lap right now. So let's go on board with Dougie Falcons in that black Mercedes around this nighttime track and see what he can show us. We're now entering the second sector, or sorry, forgive me, the third sector. A lot of 90-degree corners now going down between turns number 17 and 18 under the grandstand. and then so careful not to spin out, not to lose your rear end here. Very tempting to cut this curb as much as he dares, and he does and gets away with it. Now, a clean exit onto the final corner, a slight lift, and he is full throttled, and he abandons the lap before crossing the line. Very interesting stuff. His current fastest lap is on a set of soft, but for whatever reason, he felt the need to lift the foot before he crossed the line this time around.
Absolutely. Further down the line, we have Duck Lovers, who had to abandon his lap as well due to hitting the exit a bit on turn. I actually didn't manage to catch the turn there, but he hit the exit a bit on one of the turns and had to just abandon the lap as he was forced to cut across the next corner.
Great stuff. And that is, I believe, that is Kamel filling in for our third man in the championship, Issei, for this race as a reserve driver from the Red Bull Junior program, one could say. And he is at the moment in the pits, setting up for his final run, placed 12th in the order right now, with just a little bit less than 5 minutes left in the qualifying session.
Iron Hammer actually has been disqualified from the session due to blocking the pit lane, so he will not be able to set a better time. He will not be able to set a time at all, actually.
Now that is a great bit of insight. Thank you for finding that out for us. That is the reason behind the disqualification. A very unusual one. We don't see that one very often. But at the moment, Julian actually in the McLaren, stealing that provisional pole from Dougie Falcons, and with what a time, a 1:34.5. Now, of course, we remember Dougie lifting as he came across the line. Not entirely sure if that was a tactical decision or perhaps he felt that he wore his tires down way too much during that hot lap. But, well, we'll have to see if he goes on another attempt and tries to beat that time. Chen-Jie still has yet to leave the pits after coming in after his first run, possibly just saving it for the final few minutes here.
So down in the pit lane there, Ironhammer, the McLaren driver, he'd stormed into his pit garage. He'd thrown his helmet off, and he did not. He just smashed into the wall there. But he was disqualified for letting a car on a hot lap before exiting the pit lane. So there's some technical thing. He's not a happy camper. However, he still will be able to be in the race, but unfortunately, he's probably starting from the back of the grid.
It's crucial to be very careful when letting cars by the FIA regulations. You cannot come to a complete stop on the track. If you do, the stewards will disqualify your car. That is something worth noting, and that is quite possibly Iron Hammer just getting a little too generous, a little bit too careful, maybe, and unfortunately suffering that unfortunate fate. On board now with Melvin, who is one of our first runners on the final attempt in the Williams. Let's see what sort of pace he can show us, exiting the first set of 3 corners down Republic Boulevard into turn 5. Crucial to clip that curb and get a good exit, and he does, hooking up the throttle onto Raffles Boulevard, the first DRS straight, or the second, depending on how you count, with the first one being, of course, on the start-finishing line, braking a little bit after the 100, clipping that curb a little bit too early of an apex, nearly getting squeezed out due to the understeer, but so far so good for the Williams driver, using that throttle to rotate himself through turn number 8, and now through 9, headed down St. Andrews Road to what used to be called the Singapore Sling, which will essentially, after he gets through the set of corners, finish up Sector 2, hitting these apexes with a lot of bravery across Anderson Bridge for one of the slowest corners on the track, taking it in 3rd gear, of all things, onto Esplanade Drive. And let's see how competitive his time is after 2 sectors, crossing the line only 35 thousandths up on his time. And into the final sector, 2 cars directly in front of him, and this traffic will not be something he wants to see as he cuts the curb. These cars nearly putting themselves into the wall, trying to let the Williams driver through, but unfortunately, he is forced to abandon his lap due to the track infringement.
An update on 2 of our other high-placed drivers. We have both Chen-Jie and Dougie Falcons now coming out on mediums. They'll be starting their hot lap soon, so I'll be interested to see what they can do with these medium tires and see how that plays out in the tire strategies of theirs.
Great stuff. That is a very interesting strategical scheme that they are implementing here. Dougie Falcons at the moment in 3rd position, Chen-Jie in 6th. This is provisionally, and the pole time to beat at the moment is Julian's 1:34.5. place your bets, ladies and gentlemen, in the Twitch comments if any of these drivers will be able to achieve so, even more so on a medium compound. My bet for that would be very cautious indeed. Maybe $1, maybe $2. At the moment, Fly with Neva in the Renault, coming through the final sector now, down in 15th position with no time set yet. So it is a do or die for the Renault driver, and he is being very, very cautious around this lap, trying not to overstep his throttle or essentially clip any of these walls. He crosses the line with a 12th position time of 1:36.1, only a 10th behind his teammate, but outside of the top 10 for both Renault cars for the time being.
And the father has retired from the session, I'm not quite sure. That's done and dusted for him. So P3 at the moment on those medium tires. So he'll be starting on those medium tires. Almost 3 tenths down on the pole sitter right now, provisional pole, you can see, of Duck Lovers. So interesting there, but times are going to start falling very, very soon as everybody's out on track ready to put their blistering fast laps in. But I'm seeing a lot of invalidations from these drivers. So corner cutting.
Sorry to cut you off, Biggles, but we have Chenji just about to cross the line, and he does.
Wow.
With those mediums. He manages a 1:34.2.
Wow,
an absolutely astounding number considering his time on the softs was 1:35.12. So incredible stuff by him there.
So much for not being confident with one's pace. Now, we're on board with Dougie Falcons at the moment, who is also out on the medium compound tire, and he is not showing that sort of pace at the moment, down by 2 tenths after just the first sector on his soft time, and down by a little bit more now after 2 sectors. That time just flashed up briefly on my screen and disappeared. So it's looking like Chenji might get pole position. And on the optimum strategy, we of course know how fast those softs burn out around this track, and Chenji, starting on the mediums, will be able to take a much longer first stint and execute a one-stop strategy nearly flawlessly if he's able to get away with it. Dougie Falcons now across the line for his lap, and unfortunately, he does improve actually this lap, but that first sector cost him dearly. He ends up 3 tenths down on Chenji's time, only in 4th position.
That was an absolutely blazing lap by Chenji there, coming just rocking the field with that medium tire.
Indeed, that I am speechless. It's a 1:34.2 on mediums. That is a 10th faster than his nearest rival, who is on softs. So clearly, Chenji, well, maybe downplaying his chances in the interview with me a little bit today, but
good run from Ezzy there, up into P6 there. So good performance from him. Zay there running in P12. I'm just mentioning out all the usual fans. When they're not driving, they're also our fans, and they're usually sitting in the grandstand there shouting everybody on. So Zay is a Renault supporter, and he's certainly the lead Renault driver at the moment, running in P12. And obviously we had to give a shout out to the man himself, Ezzy, there for a good qualifying performance in P6 there. But obviously Duck Lovers and Chenji and Julian and Dougie are going to be squabbling for that first corner, shall we say? I want to say carnage because I don't want to curse any of this race, but yeah, there's going to be I don't know. If you don't go anywhere, that's for sure, because it's going to be a great race under the lights, under 16,000 lights. Well, actually, no, sorry, 15,999, because there's one out there, and I'll try to get a ladder and fix that one before the race starts.
It's a good thing they're not wired in series, Biggles, because if one goes out, then they all go out just like a Christmas tree. Good engineering on your part. The Renault squad.
Call. Series in parallel. Look that one up online if you want to study electrical engineering.
That's right. The Renault squad had plenty to celebrate, actually, just the other day when in Division 2, I believe it was Tess that took the podium for the Renault team. Let's see if the Renault drivers this time around will have anything to celebrate about. There is qualifying in the books for all of us, and that is Chenji in the pole position, sharing the front row with Duck Lovers in the Alpha Tauri. Immediately behind them, Julian in the McLaren and Dougie Falcons on the second row. Father Sriracha in 5th, Ezzy 9x 6th, Secret 7th, Melvin 8th, Sherlock Homeboy 9th, Kamel in 10th position. Then, starting with those that are able to choose their tires at the start of the race, 11th is Charles Leclerc, Zay Bernice behind, and the rest of the drivers filing out. Just had my scoreboard cut off, but that is qualifying in the books. Don't go anywhere because we will be right back with the race. We're so excited to get started with this one. Hello and welcome back to Singapore, and we are getting the final preparations underway for the race here today. This track is of course a street circuit, and it is so very perilous with countless opportunities to leave your carbon fiber in the wall, as well as, well, get a little too close and a little bit too cozy with some of our fellow drivers. And joining me for this phenomenal experience is, of course, Fuzzy Peach in the co-commentary suite and Biggles in the race control. Well, it's not really much of a suite now, Biggles. What exactly is your getup there down at track level?
Well, I'm down track level, but you know what? I've actually managed to hack into your computer. And when I opened up your computer, I found something that was quite interesting. I believe it or not, I believe that you have, I don't know what it was. Usually people watch different things on the computer, but you have the AM America's Driver of the Day up there. So does that mean that that drivers can vote? Can they potentially vote on who's going to be their Driver of the Day?
That is precisely correct. For the first time this season, we will actually be able to tally your votes for the Driver of the Day for this race. Be on the lookout. In the final several laps, we'll say about 5 to 6 laps before the end of the race, we'll open up the voting. We will share a link in the Twitch comments, and you can go ahead and cast your vote for who you think deserves the honor as Driver of the Day. Votes will close after the checkered flag, so vote fast and vote with your heart, and we are so excited to unveil that for you guys today. Now, as the drivers are completing their warm-up, their warm-up for everything, essentially, tires, brakes, and a cool-down for the engine lap. One thing to note, and let's take a look at that little map of the track we have on the right side of our screen. Take a look at where the detection point is for the second DRS zone along the lap. That green circle that is right on the apex of turn 4 is essentially a deciding factor for many of the potential overtakes we're going to see this race. This is something that is crucial because it is not immediately at the 5th apex of the track, immediately before the DRS straight. It is significantly beforehand, so be on the lookout for drivers trying to close that gap through the opening couple of corners to get within a second at that point. That is our best chance to overtake around this track, and the drivers, of course, know it. The cars filing out of the final corner now, and we are getting everything set up for race start around the Singapore circuit.
Yeah, shout out to everybody on Twitch there. Be loud and be crazy because your drivers are warming up, and let's get underway in Singapore. This is going to be exciting.
So exciting indeed. The lights coming on now, and it is a full tree of them. 5 on, and we are off for the Singapore Grand Prix. Chen-Jay getting a phenomenal getaway. It looks like actually Duck Lovers is possibly disconnected or desynced, and it looks like Chen-Jay just kept his spot. Father Sriracha nearly losing the rear end out of the first corner and losing a whole host of spots with it. Carbon fiber flying, and it looks like Grigor nearly losing his car as well out of the first corner.
Definitely Duck Lovers with some damage, losing an end plate. That's going to cost him some time. He's got a big pressure from Dougie right now. Dougie Falcons, he doesn't want Chen-Jay to be ahead, and he has to get a move on because Chen-Jay is in the lead at the moment, and he knows that he's also not in the lead of the championship. He's also in the lead of the race, and Dougie wants to do something about that, and he has to get past Duck Lovers, but...
Well, Duck Lovers crucially missing the front left end plate on his front wing. that is going to compromise him for the run of the race and give him substantial understeer. And we can see Dougie Falcons looking to take advantage of that. Of course, so tight here on the Singapore circuit. Let's see if the Mercedes driver can get a better exit. No DRS yet for the opening couple of laps, but the AlphaTauri driver twitches his rear end, trying to put in just a little bit too much throttle. And now the yellow sidewall tire on the Mercedes working for Dougie Falcons, but just unable to secure the overtake into turn 14. Oh, and it looks like we might have had a collision there in the back between Iron Hammer and Prodigy. Iron Hammer losing out significantly in the 14th corner there, colliding with the wall quite possibly. We will check in with our McLaren driver in a bit. He is still maintaining motion, and that is Duck Lovers that we see on our screens now heading into the pit lane, surely to change that front wing.
Yeah, let me see if I can catch up quickly with Duck Lovers in the pit lane. I don't think I can. He's got to lift his helmet. His team has to get cracking on changing that front wing. Yes, they are putting those tires, and the medium tires are on. And yeah, very unfortunate there for Iron Hammer, because his race is not getting any better anytime soon.
A potential for an early pit stop to possibly take advantage of a more alternate strategy. No safety cars yet, as we see our leaderboard there resyncing. Hopefully we get all the drivers back into the same universe and can avoid any ghost problems. And wow, that looked like a Alfa Romeo there, losing some significant ground into turn 7, then 8. And that is Grigor losing a whole lot of spots there, descending all the way down into 16th position due to a few late-braking incidents.
Fellas, correct me if I'm wrong here. Is Chenji first or is Iron Hammer? Because it seems my board thinks Iron Hammer has somehow managed to gain 17 positions.
It's a little bit of a desync, I believe, and hopefully we'll be able to stay in the same universes. But yes, I'm seeing the same thing on the board, but on track for sure. That is Chenji at the moment with the lead from Julian. There we go, it's updated now. From Julian, Dougie Falcons, and Ezzy, 9-time Ezzy getting a great start up into 4th, and Arcraft in 11th position, up by 6 positions compared to his starting grid spot, so he's gaining massively. Meanwhile, Duck Lovers, of course, losing phenomenally due to that front wing damage, and Father Sriracha and Charles Leclerc also not in the host of lucky drivers off this start.
Absolutely. Just a quick look at the tire strategies. We have Duck Lovers who's come in for a early medium set due to the aforementioned wing damage. But we also have Alex Great on the hards right now, starting on the hards.
And so he's the only one.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So that'll be interesting to see how he pulls that off. But now, what's more important, or possibly more important, is we have Dougie Falcons just 1 position behind Julian. So if he can get past Julian, he'll be well set to actually fight Chenji for the lead of the race, seeing as they're both on similar tire strategies, having both started on the mediums.
Crucially, Chenji pulling out quite a gap following his lightning start, and all of the debacles with Dougie Falcons being essentially stuck behind the AlphaTauri of Duck Lovers. That is a gap of 3.2 seconds at the moment to Julian, and not much that Dougie Falcons is able to do with him down the Esplanade Drive straight. He'll have to wait now for this very tight 3rd sector until he gets to the start-finish straight. That is the first DRS zone of the lap to see if he can pull off a move. But definitely the Mercedes driver having a lot more pace right now on those medium tires than Julian in the soft. And it's only lap 3, and that crossover quite possibly has already happened.
As you mentioned, different tire compounds there. Chenji running the mediums, Julian running the softs, Dougie running the mediums. It's a big split there between the tires there. It looks like Dougie's going to make see if he can make those softs work, as he does get past Julian. So the McLaren driver has to slot into P3.
And now he has 4.3 seconds to make up to get to the back of Chenji. We'll see how well he's able to achieve that. and the gaps are staying very tight here in the back at the moment. Secret chasing down Ezzy Nighttime for 4th position on the road. 2/10 behind the AlphaTauri driver. Is he gonna send it down the inside? Well, cooler heads have prevailed for the moment, and he does not. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc pulling to the inside of Alex Great, side by side now through turn 7, and the Racing Point runs wide, leaving the Ferrari driver to take the last points paying position of this race. Immediately in front of them, Zay Bernice in the Renault, all over the back of Sherlock Homeboy, who's picking up Slipstream and Dirty Air simultaneously from Kamel and Father Sriracha. The two Red Bull drivers occupying 6th and 7th position, and this train, with every car essentially 3 or 4 tenths behind the next, stretches from about 6th position all the way down to 11th.
Absolutely. If any of these drivers make a mistake, that's 1 or 2 cars that'll have to be let by them. So they absolutely must be on top of their game. There is no room for any sort of error whatsoever, not even a tenth here or there.
Speaking of being on top of one's game, Ezzy Nighttime sliding all 4 wheels across the curb of turn 17, nearly losing the car. And we have yellow flags there in sector 3.
It's Julian who spun around, in fact.
Oh, that's right. Good eye, Fuzzy, and that is part of Julian's front wing missing the McLaren driver headed into the pits.
It's an unfortunate situation, but at least he was right before the pit, so he was able to quickly get back and get a new wing in there.
You are correct. And Charles getting past yet another driver, Zay Bernice, tumbling down the order at the moment, running the medium tires, but now coming under pressure from Alex Great on the hards, which in and of itself is indicative of the level of tire wear these drivers are experiencing at the moment. Meanwhile, Charles has homed his missiles onto the next target, and that is Sherlock Homeboy in the Racing Point, and that Ferrari driver looks to have all sorts of pace at the moment now, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Some of our early pit stops have seen our drivers switch onto hards, while others have gone on to mediums. So it'll be interesting to see how these strategies develop as the race proceeds. Specifically, we have Melvin and Fly with Nieva, who have gone from softs to hards.
That's right, and we're just on board with Charles right now, seeing Sherlock Homeboy nearly lose his rear end and quite a few lag spikes there as Zay Bernice disconnect from the session. Hopefully we'll be able to get our Renault driver back. That's going to compromise them. Meanwhile, Charles is right on the gearbox of Kamel, counting the number of carbon fiber bits that he has left there on his diffuser. And a lag spike sends Charles into 9th position. I don't know if you guys are seeing the same thing I am, but this is just unbelievable. Seeing cars teleporting every which way. And now on my screen, at the very least, Charles is back in 9th position, down from 6th just moments ago.
Absolutely. We also have Zay Bernays ahead of Charles. On my screen, it shows Zay to be disconnected, so Charles should be able to get that point back, just working through that AI. And yeah, there we go, right there. Right past Zay.
This is just the stuff of nightmares. This, unfortunately, and bear with us, please, all of you on Twitch, as this lobby goes through the motions of trying to reconnect itself and trying to get some semblance of reality going, but the two Racing Point drivers touching front wing to rear wing on exit from turn 5, but Alex Great completing the overtake on Sherlock Homeboy. The second Racing Point driver's soft tires just going off a cliff at the moment, and the hard-running Alex Great just bulleting away from his teammate now on his hards. We have Zay Bernice back with us in the session now, thankfully, as we are on board with Arcraft in 10th position, trying to elevate himself up a little bit past Prodigy in 9th place. Now, of course, that Williams carrying all sorts of pace, but having pace versus being able to actually overtake a car are two very different things around the Singapore circuit. DRS open for the Williams driver, and he is closing down to 4/10 behind the car in front, but that is not enough to make a move into the 14th corner. We've seen so many collisions through here in the past, and the driver's just trying to be careful to not go a little bit too deep and compromise their own race or that of their opponent.
Just slightly further back, we actually had Duck Lovers pull a move on Grigor through the 14th corner, and managed to get past him for 11th position. So Duck Lovers is not going to be aiming for that 10th place points position at the very least, if not, but he'll definitely be wanting more.
Super stuff. And several cars now in the pits from the leading group. Kamel fitting a new set of hards, and of course Sherlock Homeboy as well. He is going to be exiting the pits now, and we're starting to get our timing board back here, which is of course always helpful. Charles benefiting from those pit stops, getting elevated into 5th position, but he's got Alex Great running very close in front of him in 4th, and of course Charles has the pace to put significant pressure on the Racing Point driver. Elsewhere in the field, Arcraft still getting on the back of Prodigy, applying pressure, but the Mercedes driver just not making a single mistake at the moment.
I'm looking further up the road right now, watching Dougie Falcon, just try to put together those laps to close the distance between him and Chen-Jie. He does not have any kind of tire advantage due to both of them having started on mediums. So it'll be down to pace and that possible under/overcuts that'll come into play once one of them pits.
Well, shockingly, not a single safety car yet, and all 18 drivers still running, which is by no means a bad thing. We are actually so excited to have that, but at the same time, surely Dougie would love a safety car right about now as Julian makes a potential bid for a safety car, sending it down the inside of turn 14. No contact, however, with Melvin, but he is unable to get through. We're going to jump a little bit farther forward now with Duck Lovers and Arcraft, unable to get past Prodigy has enabled Duck Lovers to sneak in closer and closer behind. And now he's putting significant pressure on the Williams driver, moving to the inside on exit from the final corner. Both cars with DRS open, and Duck Lovers just getting the move done on a slightly fresher mediums, and that is him up into 8th. We'll see if he is able to make an impression against Prodigy now that he has that opportunity.
We have Duck Lovers' tires being those 2 laps newer, so I wonder if that will, with how strenuous this track is on tires, that might be the deciding factor on him being able to get past a lot of these drivers, just having that extra grip to toss around those corners.
Side by side now is Duck Lovers with Prodigy, and he overtakes the Mercedes driver for 7th position. Now that was a much more convincing move on his part, which has enabled him to work his way past. But crucially, Prodigy not losing too much ground and not allowing Arcraft to move into striking distance. He still has DRS off of Duck Lovers immediately in front, and he's going to look to use it in a defensive fashion now, as, oh my goodness, he nearly spins out, nearly loses the car, and almost puts it in the wall. We will have to take a look and see if there's any damage aboard that Mercedes, twitching out the rear end again. No wing damage yet, but we've got that sequence on replay for you guys here, and you'll see it very shortly. They're rounding the 13th corner, and just look at that, in 4th or 5th gear, just losing that rear end, and I don't know if there was a collision with the wall or if it was well, no harm done, but very close to ending the race prematurely.
We have Ezzy 9-time now just hunting down Prodigy with his vastly newer tires, 3 laps compared to 8. So he'll be looking to make that overtake soon on Prodigy.
And Prodigy not quite at peace with those tires, is he? Just not loving those mediums. They are 8 laps of age, whereas Ezzy's are only 3. The 2 cars side by side through turn 5, and Ezzy just with the sheer benefit of his grip outpacing the Mercedes driver. Meanwhile, Duck Lovers, Ezzy's teammate immediately in front, makes a move and succeeds in overtaking Zabernice for 6th position, and now elevating himself up yet another spot.
Another switch from Prodigy. Yeah, he just does not seem to like those mediums. It might behoove him to switch those mediums out for fresher ones, or maybe even the hards at this point, because they just do not seem to be agreeing with him.
Well, once you slip the rear out once, it becomes inherently easier and easier to slip those tires up on corner exit. Once those core temperatures start to build in the tire, it becomes much more unwieldy, and therefore you have to be that much more careful on the throttle input. It's like a snowball. The problem just gets worse and worse if you can't manage it, and that is likely what our Mercedes driver is experiencing right now. His best bet would be to short shift out of every corner, lose some pace for the near couple of laps for a attempt at longevity down the line. Sherlock Homeboy picking up a 3-second time penalty as Father Sriracha all over the back of Melvin in the Williams, and Dougie Falcons pits again, or sorry, forgive me, he pits for the first time, having started on the mediums, now onto a new set of hards. That is an attempt to undercut Chen Jie, and we will have to see where he comes out in the field.
Absolutely. We Sherlock Homeboy, in his attempts to catch up to Kamel ahead of him, actually hit the wall here and lost a bit of end plate on his wing, so he'll be going into the pits for a new wing, I believe.
Fantastic insight, and thank you so much for that, Fuzzy, being the omnipresent eye to catch all the things that, well, Savage here on the camera simply could not dream of catching, and that is what makes this trio so effective. Multiple battles still raging on in the pack. Julian in the McLaren now looking to victimize Prodigy for those, well, sins on the rear end of the car, and look at how much more grip that McLaren has. Unable to make an impression for the time being down St. Andrews Road. Absolutely love the names of these sections of the track, and the Mercedes nearly colliding with the wall, just trying to push. Go ahead, Fuzzy.
Quick interruption. Melvin has lost quite a bit of wing right there as he... Oh! And there, yep. Just lost too much wing. Wasn't able to make that corner there. It will be that virtual safety car.
That is Melvin stranded across about the middle of Anderson Bridge between corners 12 and 13. And just the way that car is positioned, one would wonder if we're in for a safety car. Well, not
Possibly.
at the moment. Race control choosing to keep it a VSC for the moment, and that is Secret's opportunity to dive into the pits, as well as Charles Leclerc. Chen Jie, crucially, not pitting for new tires.
On my screen, it does say Chen Jie has 0-lap-old hards, actually.
Oh, you know what? That's right. Forgive me. That must have been it must have been a free pit stop, because he did not lose his lead when he pitted. Incredible stuff. Well executed by Chen Jie, so well that he even fooled us into thinking he never stopped. And he has a massive gap back to Dougie Falcons. Now, as we have yellow flags in Sector 3, that is... that is Aircraft there. The second Williams now having issues almost across the line on exit from corner 23. Aircraft losing out significantly and suffering damage on his wing. Might have been an oversteer moment in the final corner, as we know that can be quite touchy on tires. And that is him on fresh hards that are, as we've seen in the past in this championship, quite hard to come to terms with.
Absolutely. Up front, we actually have Alex on their 10-lap-old hards, having made that call early on to start the race on hards. They've been able to just stay on track longer, and by fortune of that, they've been able to move all the way up to second position. I'm actually surprised they didn't go for that free pit on the VSC to further solidify their position, and possibly go for mediums. But looking at it now, mediums might not have lasted, so that was probably the right call there.
It's unfortunate because, of course, that alternate strategy of starting on a harder tire shoehorns the driver a little bit into being unable to pit with an early safety car. They have to basically tough it out, and that's what Alex has to do at the moment. Doing a phenomenal job of it, however, and if he were to pit right now, he would come out somewhere in the top 10 still, looking at the gaps. But unfortunately, he's got to hold on for at least, I want to say 7 or 8 laps, if not 10, on those hard tires in order to pack the punch that he wants on mediums or softs towards the end of the race, which, being on 11 old hards compared to the fresh hards or mediums of the following drivers, will definitely lose him some ground here. Secret, in the meantime, still trying to find a way to squeeze past Ezzy 9-time for 4th position. Secret's been right on the back of Ezzy 9-time before, and now on fresh hards, he's going to see if he can make an impression as those mediums of Ezzy's start to fall off soon. Let's just compare the grip that these two drivers have. A slight twitch of the steering wheel to counteract a slide by Secret. A very smooth exit by Ezzy. So those medium tires at the moment at the peak of their operating potential. Meanwhile, Prodigy going side by side with Arcraft into 14, trying to switch back the racing line. Or sorry, that's not 14. That is turn 8. And now unable to overtake the Williams driver, but packing all sorts of pace. He is feeling much more confident now that he has pitted than he did on his mediums before. Those tires now at much better temperature, but losing out to Arcraft ultimately, and he's going to need to stage a comeback once those tires come up to, to a better temperature than they were right out of the pit box.
I actually believe Prodigy has... He does! Prodigy has wing damage. That's why he's losing so much time to Arcraft. The end plate on his left wing is missing.
Well, that is so unfortunate for the Mercedes driver, as he had just pitted on the previous lap. So that is not a situation one wants to find themselves in. It's either a call of losing seconds on every single lap for the remainder of the stint with the wing damage, or biting the bullet and pitting again early. But unfortunately, that would essentially be an extra pit stop.
Indeed.
On board now with Fly with Neva defending the final points position against Duck Lovers, and Duck Lovers packing so much more pace against the Renault driver side by side now, and Fly with Neva cutting the apex and receiving a 3-second time penalty to boot, along with being overtaken, of course, and being relegated down into 11th position. Keeping up with the gap Secret has to Ezzy 9-time, one might wonder if the Haas driver is just trying to let himself be towed around the circuit without making any significant attempts at an overtaking. Taking a look at his steering wheel now, we can definitely see that proof, running nearly full ERS charge and just saving it for when the time is right, in no rush to overtake his rival, biding his time and trying to pick out his opportunity.
Absolutely. Secret is on those fresh 1-lap-old hards, while Ezzy 9-time is on those 8-lap-old mediums. So Secret will be looking to force Ezzy to just take the corners a bit faster, to burn the tires a bit more, and then just make that easy overtake when possible.
Absolutely correct. Of course, time is on Secret's side with him being on those hard tires, and Secret is going to the end. Not so sure about Ezzy, however, as his mediums will essentially turn to a melted goop long before he can cross the finish line. So clearly Secret just trying to be patient. He doesn't want to be too patient.
Up in third, we have Dougie Falcon actually fighting with Alex, trying to get back to that second position he lost during pit stop.
That's correct, and Dougie packing much more pace than the Racing Point driver, and crucially, Alex 14 seconds behind Chenjay, and unfortunately, Dougie having been stuck behind the pink car, well, it's going to be very hard to challenge the current late race leader unless there is a safety car.
Absolutely. We actually have Prodigy coming out on the softs. He absolutely fed up with the hard tires and the soft medium tires. Prodigy's quite straight up coming out with the softs, possibly trying to make up a lot of time, having had to pit twice due to damage.
And we'll see how many more pit stops are in store for the Mercedes driver, but definitely a little too early to be fitting softs to the end. This soft, of course, not proving to be a very effective race tire around the circuit. We'll have to see, however, if the Mercedes driver is able to prove us wrong. Meanwhile, Sherlock Homeboy being the only car in the bottom 10 to fit a medium tire after his pit stop. And he is looking to dive and overtake down onto Grigor into the hairpin of turn 13. And the two cars collide on exit, just getting essentially stuck in each other. And that is, unfortunately, Sherlock Homeboy losing the majority of his front wing. Let's just take a look at a replay of that incident. You can see him moving to the inside, maybe a premature move, but the two cars make contact and essentially catch each other's wheel, forcing the Racing Point into the wall, and there's really not much either driver could do there once the initial contact happened. Back to live pictures now, and that yellow flag has been removed, and unfortunately for Sherlock Homeboy, it's going to be a long limp back into the pits.
Further up the standings, we have Secret right on the back of Ezzy 9time. Secret, of course, with his 3-lap-old hards chasing down Ezzy's 9-lap-old mediums.
And that pendulum will swing in the Haas driver's direction with every lap that passes here in this race, but still biding his time, still being patient. Julian only 3 seconds back in gaining, so Secret's got to make sure he's aware of that and that he doesn't let the McLaren driver come close enough within range of attack. Managing that gap pretty expertly, though, for the time being, and still biding his time behind Ezzy. A very wise strategy around a track with lots of barriers and lots of opportunities to lose your car indeed. Lap 16 of 31 around the Singapore Grand Prix. This is round 4 of the top division of Alliant Motorsport Americas, and these drivers are really showing us why they belong in that top division. Only one driver missing from the race so far, that is Melvin in the Williams. All others still on the track, still circulating, and still giving us plenty to chat about. One of those drivers, Charles Leclerc, who has set the timing tables alight early in this championship, but just struggling a little bit in the past couple of races to regain that form that he showed us in the Mexican Grand Prix. Now all over the back of Julian. Charles with a practically brand new set of hards compared to the 10-lap-old mediums on Julian's McLaren. And let's see if the Ferrari driver can carry more pace and more exit speed as he nearly loses the car on Anderson Bridge. Very, very slippery exit curve there for sure, but expert steering wheel work, and Charles catches the car before it can do any damage to the barriers. .6 separating him from Julian at the moment, unable to get close enough to attack. And of course, with all the dirty air, we know how difficult it can be. We can see that the gap that we've been monitoring between Julian and Secret closing slowly. It was 3 seconds about 2 laps ago. It is now down to 2.5, 2.6, depending on when you check. So these two drivers, they can see the pair running in front of them already in their vision. And that is going to incentivize them that much more. Meanwhile, Secret getting much closer, getting alarmingly close now to Ezzy 9time. Could this be the lap that he decides to go for the overtake? They just passed the DRS detection point, and it'll be all about the exit from turn 5. Blocking the inside front just ever so slightly for Secret, opening up the DRS, and now his overtake is enabled. He is committed to this move, moving to the inside into turn 7, locking up the inside front, nearly squeezing his rival off the track, but that is Secret up in 4th, and that is Charles up into 6th as well, simultaneously.
These two pairs have been running in lockstep, with both of them mirroring both tire compounds and the time deltas, and where they made the overtake. It was quite synchronized right there, actually.
Absolutely, and we'll have to see if Secret can now use that free air, that clean air, to pull away from Ezzy 9time and use him as a sort of rolling roadblock against Charles Leclerc. Of course, Secret is racing Charles. He's not racing Ezzy 9time because the AlphaTauri driver still has to pit, so he wants Ezzy to hold Charles back as much as he can, but you can just see the gap closing now between the Ferrari driver and the driver directly in front of him. 1.7 seconds now, 1.6. It's closing by 1/10 nearly every corner, and Charles, with phenomenal pace and plenty of overtake left to assist, he is going to absolutely look to make a charge on this lap as these drivers cross the line to begin lap 18 of the Singapore Grand Prix.
Absolutely. And then Alex, actually, with his 17-lap-old hards that he's been using since the beginning of the race, is required to make another pit stop just by the FIA rules, which means that Secret and Charles are actually fighting for 3rd here, not just 4th.
That is precisely correct. Now, Alex, it looks like he's trying to make these hards last until he can pit straight onto the soft compound, so let's not count him out just yet, as he might have pace later in the race. Charles makes a half move down the inside of turn 7, not quite committing to diving the braking zone, not quite pulling out of the overtake. Really dangerous stuff, as we know, but Ezzy 9time and Charles handling it expertly and emerging with no collisions. Charles less than 2/10 behind his AlphaTauri rival, moving to the inside. Oh my goodness, into Singapore Sling, and they collide.
That's all of Charles's wing gone right there, unfortunately. So that is, he must pit for that, unfortunately.
That is a tragedy, and a tragedy that we will unfortunately milk for the views and the ratings. And here it is on replay. The Ferrari driver moving to the inside. You can just see him clip that orange inside barrier as he tries to make his move. It was just too early of an apex that actually resulted in him colliding with a piece of the track, then bouncing back into Ezzy and not damaging the Alpha Tauri driver's car, but unfortunately ending his bid at that points paying, or the podium position finish that we had just been talking about. Full course yellows and a virtual safety car out on track now.
Charles should be able to get a relatively quick pit in here, and hope he should be able to stay, keep 7th place here, I believe. And in doing so, if there is a proper safety car later on, since he will now be pitting onto, I believe, mediums, that would give him the opportunity to fight for that podium position again.
Well, Fuzzy, you know who benefited from this VSC even more than Charles did. That is Alex Great in the Racing Point, who had been nursing those 17-lap-old hards, or 19-lap-old hards now, actually, to a point where he could pit, and he got that lucky VSC. He pit and emerged on mediums in 4th position with about 12 laps left in this race. This is crucial because now, if he can close down that 7.6 seconds he has to Secret, he will be able to fight for the podium instead.
What was originally a podium fight between Secret and Charles has now become a podium fight between Secret and Alex. And what's interesting here is we have Secret on those 7-lap-old hards, but Alex has those absolutely fresh mediums, so he will have the grip advantage here.
Indeed he will. We have oh my goodness, we have a virtual safety car, as it looks like, well, we're about to see it on our screens, a Racing Point, absolutely destroyed through turn 18, and that is Sherlock Homeboy becoming only the 2nd retirement for this race. I would almost wonder if Chenjay shouldn't just get the free pit stop in now, having that 22-second gap to Dougie Falcons come out on mediums and just check out for the remainder of this race. We'll definitely see. He's far away from the pit box now, and that opportunity may not be there by the time he comes around again. The stewards,
Dougie will also have the chance to go in for those mediums if he manages to get to the pit by the time before the safety car goes away. But like honestly, Dougie, Chenji, and Secret, all 3 of them have massive gaps that they can utilize here to get those mediums.
None of the drivers wanting to risk it, and all of them remaining out on track. Now, Zay Bernice, who we're on board with now, timed this VSC restart to perfection and closing down what was a gap of about 1.2 seconds to his teammate, now immediately on the rear diffuser of Fly with Neva, lining up a move now down the main DRS straight. Ooh, just taking a little bit too wide a line through turn 5, and that compromises Zay's run down the straight. Now still plenty of overtake on order for the Renault driver, but unable to get close now, and that corner exit just ruined his opportunity to overtake his teammate, who was running on a slightly older, harder compound. Nothing to implement a multi-21 over, however. These drivers will have to fight it out on track.
Ezzy Ninetime looking to close that distance of 1.8 seconds between him and Duck Lovers to get up to 5th. But then he'll have that 21 seconds to close if he wants to get back to 4th, and then another 4 seconds for 3rd. So he has a long way ahead of him if he wants to make up those positions he lost.
Definitely.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That wasn't Ezzy Ninetime. That was Charles. I'm sorry. Charles actually fell quite far down the order. Charles has come out in 11th after that VSC and the pit. So that's unfortunate for him there, unfortunately.
And then that was the front wing change. I mean, that's going to take a long time, no matter how you spin it. But now he's making some threatening motions behind the two Renaults, and Zay's inability to overtake Fly with Neva will now put him in jeopardy to the Ferrari behind. Charles, of course, on brand new medium tires, looking to already sneak a move into the first corner side by side with the Renault. Amazing racecraft, as I had just said that. Oh my goodness, the two drivers collide, and
happened?
That's Biggles. Is that what they call in Australia the down under? Is that what we're gonna coin that now? The move that Charles Leclerc just implemented.
Can we get a replay of that? Like, what the?
We will. Just as Leclerc completes his overtake of Fly with Neva, we're going to take a look at that very unconventional move. If you can't go around the left side of your opponent, if you can't go around the right side of your opponent, you might as well just go underneath your opponent, and everything will be just fine. Brilliant stuff. And we are back to live pictures now, of course, with Leclerc being elevated now into 9th position. We're just going to take a look and see if there's any damage on his car after the, the digging incident. It does look like he is... No, never mind. No damage on his front wing. Carry on as you please.
I've seen plenty of bugs, but that is a new one.
That's the Singapore Grand Prix, bringing out the best in drivers since its inception. Back on board now with Julian in the McLaren on his fresh mediums. He has caught Ezzy 9-time now, who has caught his teammate in turn, and Duck Lovers becoming the proverbial cork in this bottle now, and holding back his teammate. Ooh, Ezzy getting a slightly twitchy exit out of turn number 3. Compromises his run down to 5 now. Let's see who can be better on the exit. Both of the chasing cars with DRS open. Barely any overtake on offer for Julian. He's keeping that button off, and neither car able to make a move. Duck Lovers leveraging phenomenal corner exits in order to keep himself safe down these straights, and using his teammate as a form of a human shield. Now, Fuzzy, if you were Franz Tost, would you tell Duck Lovers to wave Ezzy 9-time by and act as a sort of rear gunner, knowing that Ezzy 9-time is on the quicker tire at the moment?
I actually would not. Not because of just sort of letting them race. It's actually, there's not really a good opportunity for Duck Lovers to let only Ezzy 9-time by. Any sort of opening he gives to Ezzy can also quickly become an opening for Julian to get past him as well. He has to be very careful here. And
that is a great insight.
The team would be to allow both to drive as fast as possible.
That is a great insight, and I do agree with that. Now that you mention it, it is exceedingly tough to let only one driver by and not the other when they are both running a mere 0.3 apart from each other. And he's just going to have to defend for all his might. Maybe not defend as hard against Ezzy, but he has his own race to run, does Duck Lovers. He's got his own championship to pursue, and he is not going to be handing out any freebies this time around. Going on to lap 23 now of this breathtaking Grand Prix. Chen-Jay, Dougie Falcons, and Secret running in the top 3. Crucially, Alex Great has closed his gap down to 2 seconds to the last podium position, and immediately behind them are these 3 drivers. Ezzy 9-time getting a phenomenal exit onto the DRS straight, and Duck Lovers, oh my goodness, making a threatening motion to the inside to try to block off Julian. Unsuccessful, being pushed all the way wide off the track. Still side by side, these drivers. And it looks like the McLaren has gotten through after all, but not before taking significant losses to his time fighting the AlphaTauri.
I actually just looked at the timing boards here, or the instant boards here, and it seems like both Ezzy 9-time and Duck Lovers have gained some penalties off of that. Let me double check this, and I'll get back to you on that.
That is great. Please do let us know as Father Sriracha battles with Zay Bernice, another car catching 2 squabbling teammates and trying to make them both pay for essentially holding each other up. We're going to see if he is able to make as convincing a move as Julian did, getting very, very close to scratching the rear wing of the Renault with his own front, and now lined up immediately behind the Renault driver, sneaking a move down to the inside before pulling out of the overtake and slotting himself back into the slipstream. He's not going to try that move just yet, but, well, mark my words, once we get through this third sector, if we do so in one piece, he'll be in a
quick
great
interruption
position.
here.
Go ahead.
Just while I have the time, Alex here has 1 penalty with 3 seconds of time. Ezzy 9 time actually has 3 penalties to his name right now. Julian managing to squeak by with only 1 penalty.
Oh, and a severe collision! A severe collision between Zay Bernice and Father Sriracha on exit from turn 21. And we have a safety car on the course. We're going to replay this collision for you here from the rear-facing camera on the Renault. We're not sure if there's any contact between the front wing of Father and the rear tire of Zay here, but that is a severe collision that nearly eliminates Zay from the race, instead eliminating his entire front wing from service on his car, and that is him in the pits under the safety car. So unfortunate for the Renault driver. Chen Jie in the pits as well, fitting a brand new soft compound.
But yeah, so looking back at it, neither Secret, Dougie, nor Chen Jie have any penalties here. The penalties of note here are the 9 seconds worth of penalties for Ezzy 9 time, then 3 seconds for Alex the Great.
Great information, and thank you so much for that, Fuzzy. Now, it looks like, crucially, Chen Jie has pitted for a new set of softs. Dougie Falcons has elected to keep those 14-lap old hards on board his Mercedes, and Secret immediately behind, keeping... Oh no, he is pitting as well. Let's see here. He is pitting as well for a set of softs, so the Haas team choosing identical strategies for their 2 drivers. Let's see where Secret re-emerges. There are a couple of cars coming down the start-finish line, and they do overtake the Haas driver. That is Ezzy 9 time and Julian both, elevated up into position 3 and 4 on the road.
I'm actually quite surprised Dougie Falcons also didn't hop into the pits there for a set of softs. Because with, what is this, 6 laps left, those softs will last those 6 laps. With some possible fall-off towards the end, but they should last those 6 laps, meaning that Chen Jie will have a great run on Dougie once the safety car comes back in.
There will be very little Dougie can do, of course, but I'm sure that the Mercedes driver was just looking for any opportunity he could get to essentially get within, well, to overtake on track Chen Jie, potentially force him into some uncomfortable overtakes, and possibly cause a mistake. That is likely the strategy here. It is a bit of a desperation move, but at the moment, Dougie Falcon's first on the road, and the safety car will circulate for a few more laps here.
Crucially, right behind Dougie, we have Zay sandwiched there a lap behind. So that might eat up a few crucial tenths of Chen Jie's time on restart, getting past Zay.
That's right. That is correct. And, well, that is going to be possibly a deciding factor. Lap cars not being enabled to overtake in the safety car conditions of the F1 2020 game. We're unclear as to why, but that is going to be the Renault. Now, the Renault will be ghosted when the race restarts, so Chen Jie shouldn't have too much trouble overtaking the Renault driver, but it still is very challenging. Indeed, we have the Williams of Arcraft pulling off to the side, letting some cars...
Ooh, now the Williams of Arcraft as well in between Dougie and Chen Jie. Oh my! Chen Jie has just all these...
Arcraft
oh no, he's been let by.
Interesting. Okay, so it does maybe look like the safety car let him by. Unclear as to...
No, race control! Arcraft has been disqualified from session!
Oh my goodness.
What in the world?
I'm not sure if he got the memo, to be completely honest with you. I was very surprised to see that that move there, and that is unfortunately Arcraft going to the very bottom of the classification now. We have just a few cars circulating out on track at the moment, looking to catch up to the safety car, and, well, just 5 laps left in this race for these drivers to make a statement.
A quick interruption, since we are at 5 laps left. Biggles, if you're still there, could you hand out those flyers for the driver of the day votes?
Yeah, I was just, yeah, good call. Did you read my mind? You must be tuning in. You're like, okay, Biggles, you mail. So I was just about to say that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna post out the form there. and it's going to be vote time. Thank you very much, Savage, for hooking that up. You're not just
That
a
is
commentator.
all fuzzy. That is 100% fuzzy. I
Sorry,
take
my
0
apologies
credit.
there. I'm giving credit where credit's not due. My apologies
That's
there,
right.
Fuzzy. There's a little short click. Click that and vote for your driver of the day. There certainly won't be myself in the safety car. I'm driving the safety car, guys. Let me focus, all right?
I mean, you believe that, but if you go to the very bottom of that form, you might see a little surprise there.
That's right. That's right. You can vote. You can vote for a special someone for driver of the day. They may be in the safety car right now, and the vote is yours. This is a democracy. So do go ahead and cast those votes between now and the end of the race. Once all drivers have crossed the start-finish line, we will close the voting and reveal the winner. Vote responsibly.
Ooh, Duck Lovers with a severe collision with Julian. What happened there? Any damage?
Must have been Julian into the back of Duck Lovers, and that is correct. Julian running damaged front left end plate, and at the moment in a little bit of a disagreement with Charles Leclerc as to who should be in front of whom. Julian pulling off into the pits, actually. That is just tragedy for the McLaren team. Julian
This
out of
safety
the
car
points.
does not want to come in.
Well, yeah, it looks like the safety car is trying to get the entire field to essentially condense, compress, and to form one single queue. That'll be very challenging now with the McLaren of Julian in the pits and all these other cars catching up from behind.
This is playing right into Chenji's lap, though, with those softs barely taking any wear whatsoever under these safety car conditions. He'll have those softs in optimal condition all the way to the end, I think.
And you know what else is interesting? Actually, everyone on the track now, having fitted a soft or a medium tire, and the only one out of the top 7, well, the only 2 having not fitted a soft tire are Dougie Falcons and Ezzy 9 times. So one could expect this to be an absolute fireworks show once that safety car comes in, as there will be a dramatic difference in pace between many of these drivers in the top 6. It'll be all about who can overtake the drivers on the slower compound and who can make an impression against each other on the soft.
Ooh,
We get confirmation.
Yep.
Go ahead. We get confirmation that the safety car is coming in this lap, and that means we are about to go racing. Dougie Falcons becoming the de facto safety car now, dictating the speed, and you can see there Chen Jie ready to pounce, trying to give himself a little bit of breathing room against the Renault in front of him as a way of trying to
Dougie
guess.
Falcon just, yeah.
Yeah, guess when that Mercedes is going to put his foot down, backing the entire field up now. Dougie Falcons, and is it time? We believe it is. Dougie Falcons puts his foot to the floor, and we are going racing again, about to cross the line for lap 28 of 31, and we already have yellow flags in Sector 3. That is, that looks like Secret.
Secret, I believe.
That does look like Secret. We're unable to take a look at exactly what happened to the Haas driver, but now Chen Jie is the only remaining Haas in the field. And it looks like the lapped Renault actually overtaking Dougie Falcons, crucially, and now Chen Jie getting so very close to the back of the Mercedes, setting a purple Sector 1. No DRS just yet to assist the overtake, but it doesn't seem to matter. He's going to move to the inside, and is he going to collide? No, but the two drivers getting very, very pushy with one another here through turn number...
Crucially here, Chenji actually has a 3-second time penalty off of the restart, so Dougie... Oh, this makes it a bit. Oh my!
Yeah, lots of hargy-bargy here between these two drivers.
Yeah.
Dougie knows what's at stake. Dougie likely knows that there is a penalty for the Haas driver, and he wants to keep him behind for as long as he absolutely can. Side by side now, down Esplanade Drive. The Haas on the outside, the Mercedes on the inside, both locking up their wheels. Oh, getting so very close to the wall. Still side by side now, going into the third sector, and that is still the Mercedes driver in front. Wow, unbelievable stuff from these two drivers.
Just Dougie pulling incredible grip off these old hards. I honestly couldn't drive that well on softs.
Well, it's not so much the grip, it is the skill that he has to put his car in the critically important position on the apex to block off any overtake attempt. Let's see what he can do now as Chen-Jie Shirley looking to dive the inside into the first corner. The two cars touch once again, giving each other the bare minimum of room, and that is Chen-Jie making the overtake for the race lead.
Now it's a fight for Dougie to stay within those 3 seconds to maybe not get first on track, but get first on the podium.
That is right. It's going to be so critical for him to stay in the DRS window as the two AlphaTauri teammates now go wheel to wheel down the DRS straight here, and that is Duck Lovers back up into 4th position. And Ezzy 9-time falling now, or at least battling with Charles Leclerc, keeping just ahead of the Ferrari driver.
Alex here is hunting down Dougie now. Having started on those hards all the way down the grid, Alex finds himself in 3rd place with a chance of overtaking Dougie Falcons to get that second.
And with a chance indeed, Alex is going to have to set up a move potentially somewhere in the first sector now that he is filed behind the Mercedes driver, but having much more grip, and Dougie already 2.4 seconds, 2.5 seconds, and counting behind Chen-Jie. It has been not even a full lap, but the Haas driver pulling out that critical gap and, well, making a very significant bid for the win in today's race.
Dougie's going to try to keep that McLaren ahead of him within a second to try to get DRS. Because even though that is a lapped car, Dougie can still get the DRS off him to try to keep Alex behind him for as long as possible.
Quite correct.
So we're on
Go ahead, Bill.
Sorry, they went on the penultimate lap there. Zay Barnes had just asked me somehow before going, mind letting me into the Mercedes virtual car so that I can unlap myself. Fortunate for Zay running P11. But yeah, not a lap down yet as far as I can see. But this is going to be an exciting, thrilling end to this race.
Quite correct. Alex Great within the wheel tracks of Dougie Falcons, but without DRS for 2 laps following a safety car restart, unable to make that overtake stick. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc, who just loves to go wheel to wheel with everyone anywhere, sliding out the rear end, quite expressive stuff, but unable to make an overtake against Ezzy 9-time, at least for the time being. Looking at him look down the inside, he doesn't want to make that mistake again, now does he?
He doesn't want to make it an easy time, does he? For the time being. Yeah, like we have plenty. He doesn't have much time to overtake, so okay, I've leached it as much as I could.
Lovely stuff. It is so great to have you back. You had gone silent there for a brief moment in the middle of the race, and it has made us realize how much we miss the awesome puns and the dad jokes. We love it.
Oh, Dougie Falcons now also picking up a time penalty. Oh my. So originally, Alex had a 3-second time penalty with Dougie having no penalties. But now both Alex and Dougie Falcons are on an equal playing field when it comes to penalties. So I believe that position will be determined on track now between 1, 2, and 3. Because Duck Lovers also is carrying a few penalties of his own.
And with that, we are going on to the final lap of this race. Alex Great, a mere 3/10 behind Dougie Falcons, and we're just going to try to capture all the action jumping back and forth. We're going to stick with Alex Great for the time being. Out of turn number 5, barely any overtake left on board his car. Ooh, and the Mercedes driver moving to the outside very late there, trying to get Alex to back off the throttle, but unable to do so, and that is Alex up into P2, or maybe not just yet. He doesn't have the deal sealed. Oh my goodness, the Mercedes driver crisscrosses the line, makes a bid to re-overtake the Racing Point driver, but unable to do so, and that is Alex Great into a phenomenal 2nd position, having run so long on those hard tires during the race.
And with the penalty situation, will Chen-Jie get the top step or will Dougie get it? I'm not quite sure. What was the penalty situation there, Fuzz?
With the penalty situation, Chen-Jie, Alex, and Dougie Falcons are actually all on an equal playing field. All of them with 3 seconds worth of penalties right now.
Great stuff. And that trio may look decided for the time being. There's yellow flags here as it looks like Duck Lover's moving slowly on exit from turn 14, getting back up to speed, however, but losing a few spots, and crucially, Julian, Kamel, and Duck Lover still running very close together indeed. We're going to go on board with our race winner, Chen Jie, twitching out the rear end every which way, colliding with the wall. It won't matter. He takes the checkered flag and wins the Singapore Grand Prix. Alex Gray crossing the line in second on the road, but Dougie Falcon's overtaking them after the finish.
What was this?
Dougie Falcon's back into second.
I'm looking at the time board right now, but both of them have a penalty each. I'm actually very confused right now.
Very interesting.
There must be an unserved drive-through penalty that's added towards the end of the race, and there it is too as well, because Dougie's 7.3 seconds of Chen Jie. So that is what it will be. It's unfortunate for him, but the top two in the championship as well. So the illumination of those 16,000 bulbs in this race is definitely been on Chen Jie, but and Dougie tried to bring it as much as he can, but now he's going to fall just to that second step again to Chen Jie, and that's 3 in a row, I believe, for the driver. So Chen Jie once again on the top step.
Well, Dougie Falcons having one out in Spa last week, if my memory serves me right, but unfortunately unable to repeat in Singapore as Fly with Neva crosses the start-finish line. We have only Zay Bernice left on track, so if you have not cast your vote yet, now's the time. You have a few seconds left before the polls are closed and before we declare your verdict for the driver of the day. Chen Jie already leaving the session, knowing that the deal is sealed. What a phenomenal drive for the Haas driver. And Zay Bernice coming across the line now in 11th position. The Renault team getting just a single point following today's race. There you have it, folks. That is the Singapore Grand Prix in the books. Alex Gray is the Codemasters driver of the day. Now, Fuzzy, tell us, who is our AM driver of the day?
You'll be surprised to note that it is actually Bagels with
Great stuff.
66% of the vote. But out of the safety car, we actually have both Chen Jie and Julian both tied for second here, with unfortunately no other votes just yet. I believe I'll leave the poll running for a bit longer to allow our viewers to go and vote, seeing as those last 5 laps were action-packed. Nobody wants to take their eyes off of that.
I can agree with that. Excellent stuff. And that is the Singapore Grand Prix in the books. Chen Jie takes the win from pole position around a track that he claimed that he was not particularly confident around. Well, he did a great job and a superb drive, utterly flawless, timing his pit stops to perfection and taking the win. And of course, splitting the podium with him was Dougie Falcons, who put on a phenomenal battle towards the end, and Alex Great in third place. Behind them, Kamel, Charles Leclerc, Julian Ezzy 9-time, Father Sriracha, Duck Lovers, and Fly with Neva rounding out the top 10. And behind them, Zay Bernice, Ironhammer, Grigor, Prodigy, Secret Arcraft, Sherlock Homeboy, and Melvin. There, I finally beat the scoreboard timer for once. Now, do not go anywhere. The racing action might be over, but we will jump into the interview booth and get to hear from many of our heroes from today's race. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. And we are back with Alliant Motorsport Americas, and we are just cooling off here in the Singapore heat, maybe perhaps taking an ice bath in a garbage can after this phenomenally action-packed race. We have joining us here some of the heroes from today's excellent bit of entertainment, and among them, we have our race winner, Chen Jie. We have the podium sitter, or the my goodness, podium sitters indeed, Dougie Falcons and Alex Great, as well as Julian and Father Sriracha, who both packed great points finishes for their team today. Before we get started with these drivers now, we have some more votes in for our driver of the day. Now, Fuzzy, tell us how it's shaping up.
All right, we currently still have Bagel sitting at four votes, 33%, being our driver of the day after 3 laps in the safety car. But in tied second, we have Chenji and Alex the Great. People appreciating both Chenji's stellar performance staying in first and Alex's great push from the back of the grid all the way onto the podium. And then behind that, in a joint third, we have Dougie Falcons and Julian, both with 8% of the vote.
Excellent stuff, and we will get to hear from some of these drivers now. Let's go first to Chen Jie, our race winner. And sir, you looked unstoppable for much of the race there, but did you start to have any doubts once you saw the level of resistance Dougie Falcons was giving you on the hards during the final laps? Take us through your race and what you were thinking in that moment.
Well, first of all, quali went okay. Got pole on the mediums. Wasn't a spectacular lap, but it was pretty good lap. Enough for pole on mediums. I had my normal disconnect after I finished my lap. It's becoming very commonplace, just disconnecting. So my AI started the race, got a better start than I probably would, and they just pulled away from there. It was a pretty boring race until the safety car where I saw no point in not pitting. Because, even if I came out second, which I did, I could easily overtake him. And then, so safety car restart, I got a penalty, which was kind of stupid. And then, it was a good battle with Dougie. It was very interesting driving from him, to say the least. But, eventually I got past him, and then the softs are just so much faster. I don't think he could keep up.
Super stuff. We're going to shoot it straight to Dougie now. Do you have a rebuttal, and do you think your driving was, as Chen Jie labeled it, interesting?
It was alright. Well, first of all, qualifying was kind of poor for me because I just didn't feel comfortable. And I just qualified P4 on the grid. So, after that, I literally just lost like 4 seconds from the leader after the front runners were on the soft tires, and I believe Duck Lovers had a front wing damage, and that cost me a lot of time because I was stuck behind them for a couple of laps, or a lap actually. And then Peter tried to do the undercut, tried to see if it would work, and unluckily the first VSC came at the moment when Chen Jie was going to pit, so he gained like maybe 6 seconds or something. So at that point it was like a 12-second gap he had, and I still had to overtake Alex, who was still in hard tires, so I lost about a couple more seconds from that. So I was literally just on my own for like 20 odd laps, and then the safety car came out, and I was just like, well, I got nothing to lose. Might as well just go for the soft, just stay out, see what happens. Maybe I might hold out for the victory. Maybe I might get a second place. Who knows? So I tried that, tried to defend, didn't really work out. Because I lost even third place. So my defending was alright. It was nothing special. I mean, all I did was try and do what I can, but it is what it is. But yeah, GG's to the top. GG's to Chen Jie, but it was alright.
Great stuff. That defending definitely gave us plenty to get excited about on the final lap. So congratulations to Chen Jie on the win, and congratulations to you, Dougie Falcons, on some crucial points. Of course, Issei wasn't here for today's race, so you will pull very far ahead of him in the driver's table indeed. Now, let's get a word from Alex Great, who had an absolute stunner of a race running on the hard compound for the majority of it, just trying to take those tires as far as he could. Tell us about your race and tell us what your first thought was when you saw that VSC appear during your pit window.
So, I start with quali. It's pretty shocking. I mean, I was really trying to just get a lap on the mediums. My team and I had some bad communication. and oh well, shit happens. Crap happens. So then, so I started towards the back, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go for a little gamble here. I'm pretty sure I might be one of the only guys on the hard compound. So, hey, screw it. Let's give it a try. I was taking as deep as I could. I was really like waiting for a safety car that would have helped me a lot, but I got a VSC, which that was still as good. Boxed on for mediums. Did a short stint on those. I was behind Secret at one point because he was on the hards. Put him on a lot of pressure. Till in the third sector, got a little wheel spin, lost an end plate. So then I was just trying to stick as close as I could. I saw Duck Lovers and Ezzy behind were catching me. The safety car came out, which was great. I boxed for the soft compound, got a new wing. I didn't lose that much time. I'm gutted for Secret. I guess he got cold tires and wheel spin or something, but honestly, that should have been his podium instead of me for today. I'm being completely honest. He drove a stellar race. He didn't have a single penalty. I had 2. So anyways, Dougie, I didn't notice at first he was on the hards. So I was like, holy, how am I catching him? But then I did, and I tried to leave him as much room in our battle. I tried to make it as fair as possible because he's entitled to defend as much as I am to overtake. So that happened. All went good. I lost 1 position to Dougie because of my penalty situation, but apart from that, I had a blast in this race.
Super stuff, and thank you for that detailed account. Too humble, though, I must say. Your drive was very, very worthy of the podium, and congratulations to you on scoring some big points, and for your first podium of the season as well. That will do you a lot of good in the Drivers' Championship, and that'll help elevate Racing Point quite a bit in the team standings as well. Thank you for sharing, and congratulations once again. Let's move on now to Julian, who has had quite the race with a lot of battles, a lot of contact, a few unwanted pit stops. Walk us through it, talk us through it, tell us how that one went for you.
Yeah, my pace today was pretty solid, but I just made that first mistake on my first stint. I think it was around lap 4 where I just spun and lost my wing. So I had to pit early onto the mediums. And then when I was on the mediums, I felt really quick, but I had to overtake a lot of people there, and it just slowed down my overall race time. And then once the safety car came, there was a little incident there, and I lost my wing, and I had to pit again. And then I was at the back of the line, I guess, and then I just had to get past some people there. And I knew a lot of them had penalties, and I just drove a pretty clean race in general. So I was able to make up a few positions because of that. Otherwise, it wasn't too bad of a day for me.
Super stuff. And we enjoyed watching you go wheel to wheel with, well, practically everybody in the field today. Some great racecraft and some great results as well, scoring a 6th position finish and bagging some great points. And now let's end with Father Sriracha. And tell us a little bit about your race. You had some pace indeed and had some wheel-to-wheel action of your own. Talk us through, how it all went down and about how you feel about how it ended up.
The car felt really slippery the whole race, so I was struggling trying to make sure that I wasn't throwing the back end out. But to start the race off, I got a little nudge that threw me off. But luckily, nothing else happened after that, so I was able to manage to just get back in line and continue on. I had a couple of penalties going into the pit lane. The first one I accidentally flipped off the pit limiter, so I got like 10 kilometers faster right at the entrance, so I got a penalty for that. And then on the second pit lane entrance, I had my limiter on, but it was at 61 kilometers an hour and not 60, which is the limit. So I got another one for that. But yeah, other than that, it was kind of hard to race with people. A couple of them were jumping all over the place, so I didn't feel comfortable passing them. I didn't want to make the same mistake I did last week. And then, I just kept my head down, kept going to the race, and I knew that the place would get to me eventually.
Great stuff. Well, thank you for sharing, and Better luck next time, but still a good result, still getting some important points for the championship, and crucially, well, keeping it out of the wall and out of other cars for the most part. Great work, and congratulations on the points finish. There you have it. That was the account of the race as it went down from some of the heroes of this one. Biggles, Fuzzy, your thoughts on yet another phenomenal Grand Prix in the AM Americas Championship?
I would have to say phenomenal Grand Prix because of the drivers and yourself putting in the huge amount of commitment. But if I could swear and curse and throw things right now, I'm very upset with Codemasters and very upset with a lot of the way that these things have gone out. But you know what? Drivers and everybody else still put in what they can possibly do. And you can see at the end of the day that great racing is still demonstrated on screen and so forth, even though there are technical glitches. It's commitment. And that's what we like to see in Alliant Motorsports. So thank you very much to everybody sticking through all the technical glitches that are out of our control.
Well, some entertaining technical glitches as well that we managed to catch on replay as well. And Fuzzy, what are your thoughts on the racing that you have seen today?
I mean, excluding the absolutely novel way to overtake that we saw there, it's great race, great racing, and great racers. That's all I got to say about that. Towards the end, there was no time to even catch your breath. It was just action, action, action. And even when we did have a bit of a lull, we had Biggles here to cheer us up and keep the mood uplifted. So it's been a great race, and what can I say? I'm thirsty for more.
That's right. I still intend to coin that undertake, overtake, whatever we might call it, as the down under. One of these days, I'm going to get my hands on the Oxford English Dictionary. Until then, though, I'd like to leave all of you with a Socrates quote. Now, you may not believe me that Socrates said this, but he did, and that is, the Singapore Grand Prix brings out who you really are as a driver, the best or the worst. You don't have to believe me, but that is what he said, and that is what we saw today. Some of our best drivers putting on a phenomenal display of racecraft for all to see under the lights of this tropical city. As always, we have had a ton of fun broadcasting for all of you on Twitch from this commentary booth, and we will be back for you next week. Crucially, Fuzzy will be back on Thursdays alongside Wheaton for the D2 races. I will stay, of course, on the Division 1 mic, and am so excited to join you guys for next week's endeavor. And I believe for that race, we are going to Hungary. That track not lacking in technicality either, very similar to Singapore in the difficulty of overtaking and the toughness of the variety of corners. We'll be excited to join you for that race, but until then, needing to take a much necessary break to let my vocal cords rest, we will, well, from myself, Savage, from Team Crossroads, from Fuzzy Peach, and from Biggles, we can't wait to join you guys again. Until then, keep going as fast as you can. We will see you next time.